All right, we'll call the April 11th, 2022 regular meeting of the Lakeshore Hospital Authority Board of Trustees to order. Is there any staff or trustee addition or deletions to the agenda or consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, staff has no additions or deletions to the agenda.
Entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Public comments, Ms. Lindley.
Yeah, you go first. We can leave, but I guess it can flow.
You go first.
No, go ahead.
Good evening, board members, Director Williams and Attorney Coberline. Chairman Bill, are you afraid to suggest to this board ask the board attorney, Fred Coberline, or the director to get an AGO opinion? I've asked this for probably 6 times over the last several months. And I think it's only fair that an opinion is asked for the benefit of me and other taxpayers as to the legitimacy of this board. You have any kind of response to why you guys haven't asked the attorney for an AGO opinion?
No,
Director Williams, do you have any thoughts on that? Of why we should not get an AGO opinion on the legitimacy of this board?
My opinion is that's not an administrative function to tell this board what to do.
Or you could advise them that they should. Or the attorney should say that in previous occasions, Attorney Coberline has said nothing and he wants to be a judge. On the agenda, under new business, is action for a fixed asset inventory. What will happen to the computer items if they're declared obsolete? What's the procedure?
According to policy, we will try to determine if there are any 501c3s that would like them. If we're unable to do so, we will destroy them.
Okay. Has any value been determined as to their value?
My understanding is due to the age and the obsolescence of that equipment, they have little or no value at all.
Suite 101 is on the agenda to be donated for the Healthy Family Support Worker. I understand the importance and the purpose of healthy families because Lake City certainly needs some help in the family area. Why are we donating? So a family support worker could be able to complete office work. Why are we even considering to donate something when this previous board rented it to the county and they paid $1,000 a month until Jack Berry got pissed and said the rent should be $1,600, $1,800 in the new. Why would we want to give something away for free?
I think that's what's to be discussed tonight as to whether they should or should not, whether it makes sense for the trustees to do that or not. They have not vetted that yet.
And this board has had 2 years since CHS said they were leaving. And we're in no better spot now than we were 2 years ago. Doing something with the expensive dinosaur that just, when eat grass, it just eats money. Thank you.
Look,
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's nice to be here. Stu Up for Columbia County Observer. I have to leave. This is the lateness of the start of the meeting. No, it's like you really can't be handing notes back and forth. So if the attorney wants to be whispering to a board member about the information that's going to be on the agenda or what people are talking about, should do it so everybody could hear. I think Mike Peacock is on the agenda again for this evening. And the conversation that I had with Dale was that this was Haven, but now it's not Haven, it's somebody else, is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah, this is not Haven. So the Haven information, I don't know if that's endemic to Mr. Peacock's presentation or has nothing to do with it.
no, it is part of it. All that has happened is that as Mr. Peacock and his team have vetted the hospital buildings and et cetera, they've looked at how they could possibly organize it. They have determined that it would be best to do it, not in the name of Haven, but in the name of Hope Bridges.
And the reason for that.
That I'm sure is their legal counsel's advice. I do not know that for sure because I've not heard his presentation.
You need-
So,
Thank you very much. You gave some questions. The fixed assets, that caught my eye. This isn't like a gotcha. But those computers, even though they're not suitable for Windows 11, they do work with Windows 10 Pro. So there could be, and I have the same model here. As a matter of fact, I think I'm using like the one Dell before that. And those things work fine unless the CPUs have blown up. I know the person that could tell you would be the Cecil B. DeMille of Zoom over there back there. He could tell you. So I don't know if it only can go to not-for-profits, because not-for-profits make money. Some not-for-profits, like they pay their executive directors and things, $500,000, $1 million. I mean, they have very big salaries. So you might be able to distribute those if people need them in the neighborhood, Mr. Beal. Because those computers will work. Columbia County Devil comes off the computer. It's basically the same as those and everything else that I do. So they work. I mean, they're not good if you want to get Windows 11, but they're good for anything else. So you might just want to consider that. And the final thing, the two final things is the AG opinion. I'm not going to give you the third degree. Ms. Lumley's asked about that for 6 months. You either have a law firm, if you don't want to go to the Attorney General, you have a law firm that's clearly capable of writing an opinion. You have a judge, next judge that's on the law firm, I've got calls from judge, I respect it because they judges forever. You have a member of the law firm that wants to be a judge. If you guys don't want to get an opinion, I got a call from a law.
Okay, test 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Test 1, 2, 3. Yeah, okay.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So why it is that you will not ask for the Attorney General's opinion, which is free, other than that the local attorney has to send in the paperwork and explain why they're asking for an opinion. Clearly, the law firm is capable of doing that. So either this is a backroom decision that's been made, but you won't even discuss it. Now, she's been up here for 6 times in 6 months and discussed it, and you guys won't discuss it. This doesn't like really look very good.
I'll discuss it. I made it clear multiple times that I don't think it's necessary because we don't have a full board. There's 3 empty seats and one of those seats are for the doctor. So it's not that we don't have the doctor board, we don't have a full board.
That's not what the statute said.
So
This is-
so the
statute says
decisions
the
that
board
were made
member-
previously whenever we didn't have a doctor.
I'm not. I think that's fine. If they're calling me about it, there's questions in the community about getting involved in a financial and legal agreement. I mean, I don't know why they would call me. With the hospital authority, when the hospital authority board is clearly in violation of the statute. That's clear. There's no question about that. Doesn't even have to show up.
Well, they're on the board then.
Huh?
They're just not here.
And the final thing is the healthy family support worker. That was cleared up a little bit before the meeting. that she's working out of a car. It's one person. I don't know that it makes sense to open up the whole wing of this building where you used to get $1,000 a month from the county, which was not for profit. I'm not in favor of giving anything away not for profit. And it was agreed by Jack and whoever that the rent was gonna be $1,800, I believe, if that got rented, which is why county left. The county was not for profit. But I think she could work out of maybe an office in with the girls where they are,
Or even here.
or in here, or whatever, desk in here. But to open up the whole wing of the hospital, that's, and that precludes renting it to anybody else.
It's not the hospital building.
I'm sorry, I mean, this
This
building,
building.
this, the old county jail. To take that wing of the old county jail and have that all opened up. Now you can't, how are you gonna rent? What if somebody wants to rent? And of course, the question is, Mr. Beal, why hasn't this hospital authority tried to rent anything else over there? You got the whole wing that people can rent. Thank you very much.
Anybody on Zoom that wanted to speak during public comments? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So. So move.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. That motion carries. New business. Mr. Peacock.
Say please. I didn't know me. This is on Zoom, so I promise you, I will watch it. Every word.
Good evening to the board. Thank you so much. I won't take up much of your time. Hopefully tonight will be for you all, as it was for me for the work. That we did. So hopefully it's all- It's a area totally different. Thank you so much again for your time. I won't take very much of it. Let me start out. Unfortunately, with the shovel things because of the last presenters' comments and everything. Unfortunately, I, just share a lot of information with them that I really wish I wouldn't have. But the last time I was here, and the reason why, if you were waiting, you'll find out that the
That's
reason why
all
we
right.
did-
I'm sorry, we got a microphone.
Okay,
Technical issue.
Yeah.
okay.
Yes, test. Is it? Test. Okay, sorry. I can't.
Okay.
Yep, we're good. Sorry.
I want to address that very first issue you mentioned about why is there a different management? And when I say different management, it's not really different because the scope of what the strategic plan is required and more independent management entity outside of Haven Detox, which is me as well as other partnerships that I've observed. And what that we have. Hope Bridges is willing to relocate their corporate offices here in this building here locally, bring the management portion of it here to orchestrate everything I'm about to go over with you all that I hope that you all find very favorable. That's the reason why Mr. Guy left, is why we did that, because it requires that exactly because of an attorney recommendation, because it looks bad to have the detox and the rehab entity that's going to be doing all of that work, being the management entity over community outreach, dietary, workforce, home healthcare, clinical, VA, and of course the nonprofit, and then of course dealing with Blue Cross Blue Shield and everyone else that we brought in as collaborative partners. That's the reason why. That's why we brought in Hope Bridges. That's why we're representing it and showing that, because I'm Hope Bridges. We've been in business now. I've been in business for over 30 years, multiple facilities, and literally been in the mental health and healthcare industry for 30 years or better. To go real quick with it, so I won't take much of your time. The first great news I want to put on the table, which I think that will really make a significant difference here, is that Hope Bridges, myself, Haven, everything else that I'm involved in, we have an entity that's willing to come in and reopen, listen to me, reopen the entire part of the hospital as a full service hospital. Okay, that includes, and you know, there's no money in labor and delivery, having everything here that should be here, that's not out there off the interstate that you didn't have before. We're talking about traumatic care, everything else, you know, dealing with every type of injury you can think of. The way we're able to do that is keep the beds, even though we don't really qualify as a critical access hospital because you have the other one. We're going to treat it like that. We're going to keep it under 20 beds. So basically what we're talking about doing is taking that old part of the hospital that was the hospital originally, before the other 4-story part was added to it, reopening that as a full service hospital. You'll be good to know that I got one of the nation's fastest growing, according to Forbes again. I know y'all hear me quoting Forbes because a lot of my friends deal with Forbes, but the fastest growing hospital entity in the United States right now, willing to come in and came visit, did site visit, brought their people down, did agreement with me preliminarily from RFP that I gave them to come in and actually reopen that and give you the full services of that. They've also agreed, and everybody I'm about to speak about real briefly, all agreed that all essential personnel will be hired locally. We have a workforce development component that's coming in literally. I'm using someone from Washington, D.C. that's over workforce development that I know. I have a lot of friends that I know as well in business associations going to come in and bring that component in to hire specifically from this community first, as much as possible for qualified individuals to fill all jobs. They will be located here also. That's why I say Hope Bridge has to be on site, because we're going to be a local company. We're going to relocate everything with Department of State and everything else. We'll be right here at this location where we are. So we'll be next door to you all, literally, so you can check in on operations anytime you want to, total transparency of what we're doing. So that's the first good news, a full service, let me repeat it again, hospital, able to do more services than what they got out there off the interstate. And literally, I'm just so excited about that. Y'all have no idea what it took to get to that point and what it took investment wise. The next side of it is, I know you don't think about dietary and how important gardening is. I mean, not gardening, but your stomach is to your health. One of the things today, I came over early because I just met with people from Johns Hopkins University. They want to do an agriculture-based garden here on the premises for research, which they already pretty much know the answers to it, where you have organic foods and everything grown to supply the hospital and the community, because we're talking about a 10-acre garden over there on the other property that y'all got next to the hospital. Those 30 acres over there, 20, 30, whatever it may be, right there, to do that would feed, take care of the hospital nutritional needs organically to help heal people. And I have everything you need on that as well, that included, because it's proprietary information, but I'd be more than happy to share with the board. But long story short, that is available for us. Also, they came in as a part as well, to make us look like we're smart folks around, I guess. On top of that, I brought in the workforce development. I know you got local workforce development, but I have an entity that's going to work with Hope Bridges here at the place to ensure that all the hiring is done here locally for every component of this year. Component one, we're talking about utilizing the resources for urgent care outside of the regular hospital. We're going to have your urgent care here to offset clients going from the hospital that don't need to go there, need to go to urgent care. I've been speaking with local practitioners. One of them was Dr. White here locally, who shared an extreme interest and gave me a proposal on coming over. I think he currently runs the ER over at the current hospital. Interested in coming and doing everything. More than interested, he wants to do it if we can make this happen, as well as dietary. Bringing that entity in to do Meals on Wheels. That'll be one of the first things we take off with. I'm bringing the entity in from Washington as well. Matter of fact, the good thing about this, we're talking about feeding and nutritional values for the entire community. Having them utilize this kitchen here, I mean, I call it kitchen, but dietary area of the country, using that to service communities where hiring locally, getting meals out to everyone here locally as well. As I mentioned, we got clinical resources for urgent care. The other things that we're gonna talk about is how my nonprofit entity, again, is a First Coast Community Development entity that would help with assisting with the home healthcare component, because we're gonna reach out and I have a contract entity that's gonna come in and do home healthcare. We utilizing every property that we got here and every resource we got for this entire community. Getting to each and reaching out to every individual in this community that needs services to get the numbers up for the hospital authority and us here locally, to just meet their needs. And the other thing is, and one of the main reasons why I came here today was we got about 5 days left. It's something called the 340B program when it comes down for drugs and caregiver and healthcare for individuals that have like infectious diseases like hepatitis, HIV, and everything else. The health department, I'm sure, participates in it right now as well, but it doesn't work just like that. I mean, from experience, it works even better when you have an independent unit, which would be us. And I got 4 days left to try to apply for that, but I definitely have to use one of the sites here as an address to bring that in, because it would mean saving hundreds of thousands and maybe millions of dollars for the community here locally. We want to, be able to capitalize off of the 340B Ryan White program that we definitely want to have here as well. And the very last component that we're going to be able to capitalize off of, well, 2 components, the VA as well as Blue Cross Blue Shield. The VA will be out tomorrow. The federal VA is coming out to look at the Women's Pavilion building with me to see if they've already committed to using 2 of my buildings in Jacksonville. And I have 600 beds down there for the VA. And I told them about down here in Lake City, we can utilize this here Women's Pavilion building. We're gonna do a little build out on it. Super excited about thinking. Y'all have no idea how much I've invested in time, resources, from looking at what the building's gonna cost to renovate them, get them where they need to be super efficient, which I brought my experts in to do that as well, all the way down from accounting to engineering. And I really want this opportunity to try to change this situation over here in Lake City when it comes down to taking care of this community, involving and doing a little economic development on top of that, bringing some jobs in. I'm just being honest from the heart, what it is, what I'm trying to do. I also reached out to Blue Cross Blue Shield, Florida Blue. I'm out getting dry, that's why I sound so bad, I'm sorry. I'm not the public speaker, I had someone else that's supposed to be here doing this tonight. But anyhow, long story short, Blue Cross Florida Blue is willing to come in also for people that are currently with Florida Blue, with our practitioners that we have here locally, to offset, lower your insurance rates. If you're already with Florida Blue, if you use the practitioners that we have, say, set here at this facilities here, they'll lower your personal insurance rates as well as, offset some of the costs that we're dealing with for providing services. Darnell Smith, who's the CEO for Florida Blue, he'll be more than happy to verify the agreement that we worked out with him to cover this area. So anybody that come in right now underneath the uninsured program that y'all got, if they come in as uninsured, they shouldn't be on the very long, because the first priority is to switch them over to Florida Blue ASAP, get them some insurance. So they don't have to utilize the uninsured. We can let that go to the next person and keep it going. It's all about sustainability and creating something in the next few years or less that'll be totally self-sustainable and service this community. And I think with all the goals from, like I said, nonprofit will work with outreach. We talk about tobacco and everything else in the community. We have all those components in place, have contracts for individuals willing to come in, experts that know how to do this to meet every goal that you all have strategically right now. We have that mapped out. I'm trying to jam this all in my daughter and I did a 4-minute speech spiel and ain't going like I planned, but the long story short is I wish she was here. She's a doctor. She could be better than me. But I really mean that I want you all to understand that we've done a lot of work to make sure that this will work for this community. And let me add one more thing on this. I'm here because I want to be here and I want to see this change. And Lord knows I'm not being arrogant or nothing like that, but Lord, I've been doing pretty good before I came over here. And I just really want to see something happen to this community. And I think working with you all seem very progressive and everything. And I just honestly believe that this would be the best suit to handle anything that my other people that were here the last meeting, Meridian and the college, I reached out to both of them numerous times, email, texts and everything else to collaborate with them. Because I wanted them to do the dietary at the college so they can move their diet. Their people over here to do dietary for me and do the training and stuff for their students. No response. So fine, I can do it for them. Same thing with Meridian on the behavioral health side of it with the detox and rehab. No response from them. I reached out to them numerous times, but that's the business I'm in. So, but the main thing is if we were able to work together, and I'm still open to it. I would love to, but I honestly believe that what I have here, and as you look at proposal which speak better than I do, you'll see that we can bring copious amounts of services to this community and change everything that's going on over here in Lake City and provide jobs, do a lot of economic stimulizing in there as well, and just basically serve this whole community the way it needs to be served. And that's the only way you can do it right now. You can't have just multiple individuals. You need somebody to orchestrate to make sure things break away. And that's one of the reasons why I found it necessary to have a parent entity, making sure everything is done correct. Quality assurance, somebody to answer the hospital authority, be right here in the building with them, and bring in all these other businesses as well as businesses I'm affiliated with weak disclosure to make sure that these objectives are being met. And I believe that every last one of these goals can be met as a result of the incorporation of all these individuals. It's gonna take more than just one entity doing this. Ain't nothing simple. You gotta have more than one company coming in and doing stuff. It just takes private, public, nonprofit, all working together to make this work. That's the only way it's gonna work. Anything else, I don't see it working no other way than that. That's the only way it's gonna work. And I'm open for questions right now. Anything you want to shoot at me, I'm open to answer any questions you got. And again, I apologize for taking too much time. I didn't know how much time I had up here tonight, but I definitely want to relay everything that I had on my agenda and speak to you all about. It's a lot of time, resources to get to where we are right now. Research, due diligence, and everything else from the building to fiscal to you name it. I've done it legally and everything else, spent the resources that need to be done. And be honest with you all, if you don't decide to go with me, I'll be more than happy to give you the plan that I've shared, that I've created. It's all about helping the community.
Mike, is everything that you just said contained within the handout you gave?
Yeah, pretty much, other than the garden side of it. Because the reason why I didn't include that, because I just met with John Hopkins a few minutes ago. They just left him. Wayne Taylor was just down here a few minutes ago. I just had the doctor from Jones. I didn't want to put nothing in there that I wasn't sure. You know, I wanted to meet with them first, let them see everything. Dr. Lorene Husband, that's who was down here a few moments ago at John Hopkins University, that came and I showed her the property and showed her the area that's potentially for gardening. And I call it gardening. They call it hospital agriculture. That's the fancy name for it. And they actually, and I'll share with y'all, they got the research showing that y'all are leading on heart attack, strokes, and some other stuff that y'all got going over here. But long story short, they got all that right here, and I share with y'all if y'all want it. They had all that right here, and it was fancy stuff that they talked about. But long story short, y'all down on him living right.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned full service hospital, so as far as getting certification from OCA and all that, you don't think that'll be an an issue? How long do you think that would take to?
Well, right, two things. Well, I'm hoping our governor, he's working on some things right now, just now, from what I understand, but we've heard that before. And if that happens, I ain't gonna say nothing bad against him. I've been in business for 30 years, but Lord knows I can do without him too. But the long story short is, I figure within maybe less than 60 days, we should be able to get all the license, certification equipment, and everything else need to be done to float it to make sure that we're ready to open. I know a lot of the equipment, from what I understand, has been recently certified also that is pertinent that need to be used. I know we got to bring in some new equipment as we went through it. I was told that certifications was done on some of them that's been maintained. I give that credit to the person that's been maintaining the buildings and stuff. A wonderful job that person has been doing. That's the reason why we should be to expedite the hospital being open outside of the behavioral health side of it. The behavioral health side of it is, pretty much, I ain't gonna say a breeze, but it's not as hard doing the behavioral health side of it.
So what would the process look like? What would all of this, if, let's just say for conversation's sake, May 1st, and I'm just using that date. I know that's not realistic. We sign an agreement, we say, okay, this is the route we want to go. How long before services are being offered? Would it be in phase or would it all, how would that work?
The way we've been, and if I can share that with you all, I'd love to share with you. The way we phase it out is 3 phases of it and what we're doing. Well, phase 1 would be dietary. And the reason why, listen, because if you get I'm gonna use common folks terminology. You get the kitchen up and running the way you need to. You serve some 500 to 700 people with Meals on Wheels, because that's a complete entity that's ready to roll right now. It's gonna return a lot of resources to put towards maintenance, operations, and everything else outside of what our initial request for. And this is only just to get rid of boilers and make the building more efficient for everybody else. Because if you don't get that building efficient, forget about what we're doing. The building is just not efficient right now. But it's a way to do it that's not as costly as other folks say it is. I mean, the main thing is, getting the energy consumption down and making it a little bit more efficient than what it is. That comes from renewable energy, solar, and of course, getting rid of things that are costly and basically unplugging stuff you ain't using. I mean, you'd be surprised with light bill is just because of that. Okay, going back to this, once we get that, say that takes less, get that done within the first 30 days, because food service safety certification, you can get that done immediately. The building is already certified with fire and health. Y'all been maintaining that as the board. So 30 days with that, give or take. While that 30 days, we initially put in for the application at that moment for the hospital. If ARCA works the way they should, and my diligence and the company that I have coming in, which is rated underneath Forbes as the fastest growing hospital here in the United States right now, it's the guy that created the canned food industry, the one that's behind it, billionaire Michael Lewinsky. I can't say his name right way. I know him, I can't say his name right way. But anyhow, long story short, we should have that done with being persistent. Optimistically, I would like to say 30, but no less than 60, because I'm gonna go over there and camp out if I need to, and whoever else needs to camp out over there to make sure we get that done, get them down here, survey the facility and say, hey, look, y'all can open it back up. This needs to be done in this community. This is the difference that it can make, with every little health issue that we got going on down here and emergency needs and everything that the other hospital is not serving. So I would say 6 days on the hospital. Meantime, you're gonna still be applying for all the mental health license that we need for the behavioral health side of it, detox and rehab, which would go inside of the building as well. Maybe that should go pretty close to 30 days, because the building is not a big part of that. It boils down to having your doctors ready, which that's the business I'm in. Haven Detox has been doing that, and other businesses, we can do that fairly quickly. So optimistically and realistically, I honestly believe with the right amount of resources, it takes money to do stuff on top of what my investors are bringing in, because everybody's bringing money to the table outside of what you all bring in. I'm bringing in other money because you already know, y'all don't have enough money to open that up the way it is right now. Everything I'm talking about, it's not enough money to do it. You gotta have extra resources to do it, me personally, as well as others that I'm bringing in to invest. 90 days, we ought to be kicking it pretty hard with having the workforce component here locally to hire people, screen people for hiring and everything. With between what you all have and the other resources I have and my investors have and the partners we got coming in and do everything, because it pretty much going to be close to 53 million when we get through with everything outside of what my initial request is for helping. We should be able to get things done pretty close to 90 days, the way I'm looking at it. And to be honest with you, within that 90 days period, we should have all our enrollments with insurances, because we want to enroll with everybody to get paid. You should have all of your other resources lined up to where we shouldn't be worried about the uninsured part where the authority can retain, the other resources that they have in reserves. And hopefully within that 90-day period, preferably, I wish it was less, but we should be in a position to do that. I'm treating it from a business standpoint. And that's being realistic, working on it every day, because I'm telling you, from the time that I left this meeting here, y'all, the last time I was with you all, I've been working on this every day, every night. I've been on it every day to get back in front of you all and be able to tell you what I'm telling you right now.
You said the plan with the full service hospital would also be to have
Labor and delivery.
an offer, emergency room as well.
Yes, sir. Oh, you gotta have that. You gotta have that. OR, labor, delivery, everything else. That's a given. But the key to doing that, the way you do it is do it like 20 beds. So basically you take the old hospital, I'm calling it old hospital, the section that's 2-story side of it. Use that for the hospital. We gotta do some renovations to that and build out on it. And the other 4-story part of it would be for behavior health and everything else that we looking at doing outside of the urgent care part, which would be across the street. And of course, the other pavilion building over here wouldn't really be for residual off of veteran housing. But yes, that's what we're thinking, using that, keeping that a minimum amount of beds, getting that open back up so we can start service community. And of course, everybody we hire over there outside of maybe administrative right now, because we need that in this area to give us, experience. Everyone, and the reason why, because they got a great track record of bringing in veteran housing in the Funag Springs area. They brought in 4,500 houses, 4,500 units down there, as well as everything else they brought parks and everything. But you all have property here that can be used and developed to better the community, for mixed use and everything else right next door to it. Gardening, I call it gardening for the agriculture use and everything else, that just untapped resources that, you don't have to spend the resources on. We are bringing those resources to develop that, and everybody benefit from it for the agreement that we set up with each other here to make it work. We want everything to be successful with our program. It's been sitting there, let's fix it, let's make it roll.
I've got another question.
Yes, sir.
And feel free to jump in at any point, but and this has been brought up to me by members of the public as well.
Yes, sir.
Not just about your proposal, but about a couple of them. Mental health and the veteran portion of it. You've done projects similar to this
Mhm.
in other locations. What is the homeless population? Does that increase around the facilities where you operate? You have, mental health patients that are admitted, and then whatever their stay is over, is the homeless population,
Okay.
does that
That's-
increase in the immediate area?
Oh, I love it. I'm glad you asked that. The most important thing about and I use this when I say workforce, and I talk about the workforce components we're bringing in. The person that the internet we're bringing in from Washington DC right now, that's gonna help us with the hiring of everyone. Part of that works into helping every individual come in to get back, let me just break the back, get back on track and everything else in line. They'll be here, so say you got a veteran, a homeless person, well, we say homeless, whatever. Some of the veterans are homeless, say they were there at the facility. When they're discharged from the facility or whatever like that, they'll work with our entity here in this building to ensure, look, we're looking for job, we're looking for housing, which we readily may be able to provide here locally if we develop the resources that we got here, use that property for mixed use housing, workforce housing, and everything else. That swamp land right now, right next door. I mean, you got that right next door, 30 some acres, 20 some acres right there to be used, that you don't have to use the authority's money zone. I can bring in people and bring in resources to do that and offset that, that's willing to work with whatever the authority says to make that happen, you know, so those people would be in a position that they're not put back out. If they went through treatment, they're just out on the streets. No, we want to fix it where if they can get a job, relocate them, maybe to Veterans Village down in the unit, maybe it's somewhere else, whatever, within our network. But the long story short, we'll have an entity here that's going to be able to work with every person discharged with a plan of action, so they don't go back to the recidivist behavior that they had before. You know, if they get through a detox, after they get through with rehabilitation or whatever it may be they came here for, we don't want them to go back out there and create a cycle. We want to have them, hey, look, you got a chance to own your own place here, good. You got a chance to work here, good. You know, you get a chance to make it up, you know, yourself. You make that, of course, everybody gonna be 100%, but you have a chance to do that. We've thought that out from the root to if it's gonna be a person coming in here. That's one of the reasons why it's so important to have that workforce entity in-house. And I have the RFP that I put out for them to give me. I'd be more than happy to share all the information I got with the board here to show how that works. I mean, I'm a little heavy, I can read it verbatim to you right now. But that's a good question. And that's one of the things, the first thing we thought about, how do you stop this from happening? Just like how you stop anybody from going, using the emergency room as a primary care. The reason you stop that is put the urgent care next door to weed out what needs. If somebody come over there to the ER, they need to go to urgent care, don't need to be at ER, send them over there next door. Let's get you straight with your insurance. Let's get you straight with everything else. Let's have our social services work with you, whatever it may be. That's what it's all about. You don't want to create a cycle on it. And one of the biggest things I'm big on, and this is one of the deal breakers that I told the hospital that came in, I said, look, I got to have labor and delivery. I know there's no money in it. And the other thing there's no money in is dialysis. My brother passed away he was a dialysis patient for years and years. And one of the things I was going to do in Madison prior to his passing away was take the old Madison Hospital that I have and turn in a section of it in the yard to be a dialysis. We're gonna have that on hand right here locally. So if someone come in there, y'all, those that in here that's not on dialysis with kidney issues and stuff, y'all don't know it's a lot of times on the weekend days when the VA and all these places ain't open, these people have too much fluid intake, which is life or death. By having that available right here, you don't know the lives you're gonna save as well as just taking unnecessary suffering pain off of somebody who kidneys ain't able to function like ours on. I don't know who in here don't have that. Maybe some of y'all got it. You can't look people and tell. But long story short, that makes the world a long difference by having every service you can think of available. And the future of it is unlimited. I want to see everything from dermatology to cosmetic to everything you think of. I want Lake City, just like I said before, to be the miniature, either exceed them, Gainesville. I want us to be, like I said before, the Disneyland for coming and getting healthcare. We are, Lake City is between I-10 and 75. We can be a destination city for healthcare and for everything else that we want it to be right here on this campus with these acres that you got here and the rest of the acres that you got. That's the vision that I have for it. I mean, that's what I see. I see that being done. And with y'all, us working as a joint venture together, I can't do it by myself, and I couldn't do it personally by myself. I'm gonna be honest with you, my limit is at 3 million. But guess what? I got folks that's got more than that, and you all got it. We all put it together. It sounds simple as what it is, and we all work together and make it happen. Help people around here. That's what we can do. We can help folks.
Chancey, did you have?
Yes, what do you anticipate bed capacity to be at?
Okay, on the hospital side of it, it's only gonna be like under 25. Because you don't, I mean, that's what the provider I've spoken with, ACE, they say they want to keep it as a smaller hospital with 20 something on that. That's the hospital side. Now dealing with behavioral health, we can go anywhere between, because y'all got a bunch of rooms over there right now that y'all use for offices and everything on every floor. You go from 180 to 200, depending on, you know, the bed space that we got in all the rooms y'all use for offices over there tonight. And of course, over at the pavilion, once we do the bill out on that, at least 100 over there. I mean, between all, excuse me, at least 70 over there, because 32 to a room, give or take, you ought to be able to do at least 30 over there, give or take, for the veterans and housing. So that's bed capacity on long, I would call it, let's call it transitional housing, all long term. If they have not transitioned out, they're gonna be there. And then of course, with the behavioral health side of it, that's what I would give you on the bed side, count on that. Say 180 or 200, depending on, you know, how many officers we convert over there. And of course, with the hospital beds, no more than 25 at the most.
And
Yeah.
why is that?
Because, and okay, even though we're not a critical access hospital, because of the fact you got a hospital over there, we want to follow that model on that. Now, if it gets to the point to where we're, and this is, and it's a good question, in my partner opinion on this right here, we said the same thing. If it gets to the point to say we're bringing oncology or some other type of services that grows, we got room to change that. If we need to use other rooms, we can grow it into more. So we're being conservative right now because we're trying to get it licensed as quickly as possible and everything else. But no, we have the room to grow it more. Oh, I would love for the hospital capacity to be 200. You gotta go back to ARPA. Number one rule, I don't know if you ever applied for any license or know how licensing for ARPA works. I own 8 facilities and I've applied for them. Every bed that you add on to that initial license, it costs you a nice little piece of pocket change when you add up to it. If I went to ARPA right now and say, hey, I want a license of 200 bed hospital over there, 180 bed hospital, your license fee just went just like that. I mean, it's seriously. But if you go over there and say, look, I want to do a CH lookalike, critical access hospital lookalike, because we got a hospital here. I want to do 20 some beds. We're in a community, at-risk community and everything else, you know, low income, everything that's behind us and everything else. That makes a big difference when you go to them with that. And of course, that lowers the licensure fees. And if y'all know anything, y'all know how many state employees in here. When state employees go out to do their work, they don't like working hard. They come out there and you go there with 20 beds. You got a minute out of there. I hate to tell you, it's the truth. I mean, so you crawl, in other words, like my daddy used to say, crawl, walk, and run with it. Crawl, walk, and run with it. We want to do more, but you crawl, walk, and run. That's how you do it with it.
And the reason I'm asking that is because we know the capacity's there.
Mhm,
And
I agree.
as long as you're not, as long as your group is not afraid to grow with it,
Oh, no.
because I believe that it won't take long. There are enough people that are upset that they don't have a hospital here.
Once they find out about labor and delivery and everything else, I'm anticipating on the maternity side of it to be out of this world, to be honest with you. And then on top of that, once we get the agreement with everything working with the VA, we ought to be in a situation where we ought to have all, because we're going to be a VA provider for the other services as well, primary care and anything that we get overspill on that, hospitalization as well. It's unlimited. There's so many other ways it will go. I mean, this is just the what we doing right now. We just building the road gauge for the race car. We ain't putting anything else on it. We just trying to get the road gauge set up, the safety part of it that we know gonna work, and we'll put all the rest of it on it. We'll put the brake, we'll put the motor, we'll put everything else on it. But we know this is to come. That's a bad. I just use automotive as an analogy. But yeah, I agree with you totally. There's no doubt in my mind that there's the other services unlimited. I mean, that we can be there. I mean, like I say, oncology, dealing with, everything, liver, kidney, I mean, you come down to kidneys and dialysis and stuff. I believe we would be the premier place. Lake City can be on the map for that all day long, right here where we are. And like I told y'all, I've reached out. Y'all know my dealings. I reached out to the two other individuals that was here, called and texted, everything you think of. I say, look, instead of you relocating your folks over here at this location with the school, let me take your take your students, let them do dietary over here. That'll want more rooms for you in order to train more EMTs and nurses and everything. Come over here. You'll make a nice little piece of pocket change off of the working with the feed, the Meals on Wheels and being a contract entity, feeding the folks upstairs with behavior health and feeding them little beds over at the hospital. You work out good. You got plenty of room for classrooms. You got plenty of room for education, development, everything else. And, same thing, reach out to Meridian, hey, look here, y'all welcome, take 2 floors up there, 3 floors. If you want to do it during a crisis intervention hospital, I love the idea of it. I'll forego my plans just so we can all get this done. Same thing I told my religious organizations here. I'm like, I'll work with y'all because I need you all with my nonprofit to help us reach those people in the community that need service and everything. I want to work with everybody. We're going to open the door for everybody. That's why the nonprofit First Coast Community Development is there, as you see on there, to help work with all that. We don't want to miss out on nothing, whether it's governmental money, grants, whatever it may be, working with nonprofits, partnerships, whatever it may be with the state. We want federal, we want this to be successful. And this is the only way I know that it's going to be successful. Anything else, I don't see how that works. I mean, I really don't see how it works any other way other than having multiple collaborative partnerships and a healthcare management entity that's a management entity all the way around, business, healthcare management, and coming in and making sure they do what they're supposed to do right here on site, where you all right here on site can walk down to that end of the building. I don't know who else is down there, but whatever end of it, and say, hey, look, what's going on every day? It's total transparency. You know what's going on. Where has it been spent? Okay, it's been spent there. This is what's done. We did this, that, and that's the way I see it is that way. And I believe we can really solve a lot of the mental health, physical health, and every other health issue we got here in Lake City. I'm telling y'all, and to be honest with y'all, I want to see it replicated. I want to see if it's needed. Hospital. We can do that. We can do better. We can do better, y'all. We can do better.
Brandon, are we gonna be allowed to ask any questions?
After the meeting, you can meet with him at your
Well,
heart's
I think
content.
there's something you can discuss now.
After the meeting, you can meet with him.
We're not gonna make.
Robert Rules conduct, man. You and your friend, Robert Rules conduct.
Brandon.
Politics.
Yes.
I think this would be a good time, Brandon, to just very quickly, let's revisit where we're at, what our charge is, what we need to do, okay? First of all, if you will remember at our last meeting, Mike asked the board for his proposal to be accepted, which the board agreed to do. At that same meeting, you agreed to accept the proposal of Florida Gateway College.
Right.
Since then, I have met with Florida Gateway, I met with Mike, and I also met with Meridian. We exchanged information, we answered questions. There's a lot that people who are putting together a proposal need to know and have to know in order to do that. Since that time, as you heard Mike say, I think they've been on this campus every day since we met, and they've always had a team of people. They've been analyzing not only buildings and equipment, but also all of the financial data that we could give them. We made that same offer available to Meridian, and I know that Meridian has done some of that also. And of course, the college is a little bit different because they don't directly provide medical services. They were primarily looking for space, sort of to provide ancillary services to the medical community, and we can talk about that. Because Mike was added at the last meeting, there was not a written proposal like others who had submitted that you could review. So this was Mike's opportunity after he had reviewed and he had studied the buildings and he had looked at the numbers to give you what I'm going to call a conceptual plan as to what they believe they can provide with these facilities. Now, obviously, we've got to get one of these to the point that they meet the satisfaction of the trustees. You believe it is the best overall proposal. And what I'm going to suggest is that we rank our proposals at some point. And then we negotiate with the top ranked firm, so on and so forth, which is commonly the way it's done. At some point, the top ranked firm, and hypothetically, let's just say it is Hope Bridges, I would think we would want to ask Mike to bring his entire operational team in where you can question them. Plus, there's going to be a lot of information that the legal side is going to need to know in order to craft a lease. There's a lot of missing parts on that side of it. We have a concept, but who's going to be responsible for what, exactly where are things going to go, specifically what is Hope Bridges wanting the authority to do, what are they guaranteeing they will do, and etc. Those are going to be the mechanics of the process. Now, all of that takes time. I don't know what Mike's schedule is, but I think we're to that point where rather than trying to do this on regularly scheduled meetings, if it at all possible, we probably need to start having some special meetings. And I would suggest between tonight and the first special meeting, if Meridian or the college which to come and make a verbal presentation, just as Mike did, you give them that opportunity, and then you rank in order of your preference. And then we can set up additional future meetings with your top ranked firm to start getting to the meat and potatoes of what's necessary to lease. And that's my suggestion. It seems to be logical. You may have a better way to do it, but that's the way I would suggest you proceed from this point.
I can bring in every unit, every entity and every partnership and have them sitting here, whatever y'all need to do from ACE, which I told you about, federal staff, them and the home health care entity and everyone else. You just give me the time and date. I need everybody here. They'll bring their license and certification to show you everything they can bring to the table. The only time sensitive thing is the 340B application, which we got about 4 more days left on that. Look like we ain't gonna make it, but that's just something we can do in the future.
Well, Mike, what I was going to suggest to you on the 340B application, if I understand that application correctly, you need a physical address.
Correct.
Now, clearly, you do not have a lease for that physical address, and you're not going to have that in 4 days. But I did not see where you had to show proof of ownership of the
I
location.
think same thing.
So as far as I'm concerned administratively, you tell me what building it is. I will be glad to the extent I can write a letter administratively without committing the trustees. You apply for the 340B standing, and if something happens and a project is not completed, then we simply rescind our award if you're successful.
Really, I don't need a letter. I just need they don't verify this is Department of Health next door. They aren't gonna be verifying anything other than the address, and you gotta put that on the application along with what I got. If I can just have the board's permission, just put it on there and see if we can get everything done within the next 4 days.
I see
That'd be
I
good.
see
What
that
is
as
that for again, a 340D, what is that?
federal funding for certain services.
If pull up on your computer, you'll see what it covers, infectious diseases. It helps people out in this community. This is about the folks in your community that we serving over here. The folks that got hepatitis, y'all don't have no clue how many folks y'all got with hepatitis and HIV and everything. It helps with the medication, it helps with the doctor visits and everything else. It offsets a lot of those costs and stuff for them and get it to them readily. It is just something that is needed.
The federal government appropriates a tremendous amount of money
Mhm,
through that program
exactly.
to help communities,
Mhm.
both based on need and those that are underserved,
There you go.
in order to pay for those types of things. And it's a tremendous amount of money.
It is.
And in a case like Mike or anybody else that puts together a proposal like he is working on, they can provide those services, pretty much know that they're going to be paid for the services they provide. So there's an income stream they can depend on. Kind of like another Medicare, Medicaid stream, private insurance, not like private pay where you may or may not get paid. So it gives them another income stream which they can count on.
Now, you may know, or this may be a question for Judge Coberline. Let's say we do that and you use the address and you're awarded that federal funding. Are we on the hook for something? I mean, we haven't done anything as far as signing a lease or even negotiating with any of the other presenters. So I just want to
Unless
make
you're
sure.
getting money.
And I think Mike would tell you this too. Let's say that at the end of the day, you don't use Mike, you decide to use the ABC company.
We still got it.
That 340B designation goes with that address. It doesn't go with Mike.
It's about the nonprofit that's associated with it. It won't have no bearing. Matter of fact, it won't have nothing to do with the Action Hospital Authority, because when I apply for it, I'm applying for it on the First Coast Community Development, my nonprofit out of Jacksonville that I use. It'll be applied for underneath them. So it's just like me being a tenant here and saying, oh, I'm gonna set it up over here. So no, it wouldn't have no liability on y'all about anything. And it's not really, it's no liability now because you're working directly with the health department. I gotta go next door to the health department and get that done. That's how it works. This is some work with the Ryan White Foundation. Pull it up on your computer, 340B, you'll see just how simple it is and how it works.
I'm certainly no expert in it. I have tried to educate myself since Mike first mentioned this to me. I saw nothing that obligated this authority, nothing.
If we
And
get in the next 4 days. which
we're not
always
even
long
asked to
shot.
sign anything
It's a long
to the best
shot.
of my knowledge.
Right now, 4 days left, because I gotta get them to come see everything and prove it. Right now, it's really late in the game. I mean, I'm trying to, if not, if we work together in the next June will be next time we apply for it. If we all work together, we'll get it in. But it'd be good if we get it now and get things rolling, because that's immediate services and resources for the community. Anything I can do to bring resources in right now for us to create sustainability. The whole idea is to have that place sustainable. So we ain't got to worry about nothing else from nobody else. We don't need monies from here, no other future monies, nobody else, make it totally self-sustainable.
My only other comment would be to Dell. I'm a little nervous about ranking them 1, 2, 3. The city did that with their manager applicant. Very well. So I don't know if we should rank them publicly or say, let's negotiate with all parties involved until if we can figure out a way to do that.
Well, that's certainly the trustee's prerogative, Mr. Chairman. My only thought is maybe I'm overthinking it, but I just see a tremendous amount of work product that's going to go into a negotiation for a lease. I don't know that you got the wherewithal to do that, with 2 or 3 people at one time.
Well, maybe I'm
Yeah.
preliminary as far as what's expected from the authority. We know that one entity has requested building and money. You know, I don't know what the request would be from Hope Bridges or what financial request would be from Meridian. But-
And I don't know that either.
Right, so that, have those discussions before we publicly rank. Just my opinion, I don't want to start this whole process over. Another 6 or 8 months because we say you're number 2 or number 3 and they get upset and go look somewhere else. And then it doesn't work out with number 1 and then we're back to square one. Just my thought.
May I make a suggestion that we have a special meeting, listen to all 3 of them ASAP, which we know we've got so many days we have to be posted before we can do it. Then just go from there. And if somebody wants to come and speak, let them come and speak. But we can pretty much ascertain who we're going to be interested in. And then we can vote on it. Go from there.
We gave the capital operating funding projections on the very last page.
They're
And
asking
that's-
for 7.5.
and that's to cover, trying to get the building where it needs to be, more be efficient. And also offset the cost of every entity from the hospital to the behavior health to the clinic, the FQHC, look like clinic and everything else. That's where we are, where they will be sustainable within the next several months on their own. And that way it leaves plenty of money for uninsured people to come in and give from that to help sustain them. That's why we didn't worry about the whole amount. We just did what needed to be done. You need to change out boilers, you need to change out every bulb in the building just to get a utility bill down. First thing, get that down lower. That's the first thing you gotta do. That's the very first thing. Get the light bill down low.
I did see that number, and but are we talking about a lease? Are we gonna be responsible for maintenance? Is it gonna be
No,
our
we-
building, or
we
you
do
know,
all
are
that.
we gonna get back into that?
That's,
Fair question.
Those are all the things that we really need to
Yeah.
have discussions on.
we will handle all the maintenance operations of it. The consortium of construction, maintenance consortium, we'll do all that. And we're gonna retain, individuals that's familiar with the property here to make sure all that goes the right way. So you all, with us, y'all ain't gotta worry about that. Insurance, maintenance, operations, everything else, we pay. Since we're gonna be working with us for the next couple of years.
Just a clarification,
Yeah,
that's all.
so you should work, I don't wanna give that away now, if y'all, that'd be nice, but,
No,
since we
I
have it,
would
I
think,
think we
Mike,
should be
that
responsible.
realistically, it would be standard provisions in the lease,
Mhm.
which I would think that you
Like triple
would
net.
insure
Yeah,
your
triple net.
exposures and we would insure ours.
Take care of it. Triple net. Do everything you can.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with our executive director. I think we need to accept the 3 proposals from Meridian, FGC, as well as Hope Bridges, and combine them with this packet that we got last month and have many meetings. It sounds like we need to have, unfortunately, but I'm prepared to meet and we got to make some decisions.
Well, as soon as I can hear back from Meridian, because I don't have the same detail with them that I've got from Mike, I can kind of come up with a schedule, which we discussed at the last meeting, sort of a snapshot where you can look at it and see who's proposing what, the details. But at some point, we've got to isolate what you consider to be the better of those proposals and how it may work. And then we've got to work diligently to get to the meat and potatoes of that. And that's, to me, I just see that as being somewhat tedious. It's just not something you can just do overnight.
Agree.
Unless you have any questions, comments?
Start the meetings.
I believe you have to give about 7 days notice for a special meeting. I don't think this would qualify as an emergency meeting, which you could do quicker. So we're talking about special meetings. 7 days, working days. And that's from the date of initial advertising, is it not? Okay.
Well, if we set up a series of meetings, don't need all of them, we can always cancel them.
Which is what
And then
I
we're
would
covered.
suggest. That way we're scheduled, we're not repeating ourselves. It's easier to cancel one if it doesn't fall at the right time than it is to establish one.
Yeah.
So about 2 weeks out.
Yeah, and I think the easiest way to do that, I don't know what your personal calendars are, so I can have Sonia start working to get what dates. I know some of you are scheduled to be out of town here pretty soon. And we got to have everybody present. And these will be special meetings where you can conduct business and not workshops. So I can get Sonia to start finding out what your calendars omit, what you can't do. We'll come up with a schedule of special meetings and we'll get down to it.
And I might add, I'm retired, so 9 o'clock AM is fine for me too.
You got it.
Look at Steven's face.
No way.
We
By
will,
9:30.
There you go.
we will ask those questions of you also. So if you would, please give some thought to that.
That's not gonna be a good way to do that.
And again, I'll try to do as much of the groundwork for you as I can where it makes your job a little easier. But at some point, I just kind of see, you having to sit here in front of a number of people and ask some very specific questions because the lease is going to be more specific than what we're talking about here in general.
We're bringing resources to the table. Yeah. I mean, we're not asking you for everything. We're bringing resources to actually exceed everything you're contributing. And in the long run, we definitely, when it comes down to ownership of it in the long run, we'll be there to do that as well, because over the next 5 years, that place should be self-sustainable and you should have reserves and everything else to make everybody happy. We're not asking for the hand now. We want to work with you on doing stuff. That's what we find. We have something that, we know we have a plan that'll work. We've already invested $17,000 in just what we've done so far, just due diligence and research. So we're here to stay there.
Well, in your interest, Mike, and that of your team and behalf of the trustees is greatly appreciated. I will tell anybody, wherever this may go, Mike and his team have made a tremendous effort in trying to understand the needs of the community, what we're doing, how we're doing it, those things. And as I stated earlier, I don't know that there's not been a day since the last meeting that they haven't been at that facility.
And y'all, let me add one more little caveat to it right here. I mean, I didn't want to say this because I just got it today. I literally just got this here earlier today, and I'm gonna mention it right here. I got a text to me during the Mayo Clinic. A friend of mine is over there. I'm talking about no regular friend. They literally said Mayo Clinic suggested you should construct a medical alliance with them and the board right here. I got this here early from a key individual over there at the Mayo Clinic today saying I need to construct it. I ain't interested in Mayo Clinic because a friend of mine mentioned Mayo Clinic. I got a hospital want to come here, but the fact that my friend is very wealthy individual and influencing friend, he told me, he said, look, we got the Mayo Clinic interested in it. I mentioned it to the people over there, but I'm not thinking about the Mill Clinic right now. But we have a tremendous opportunity here with this location to do even more than what we're doing right now. And that just happened today. I mean, on my way over here today. And it's crazy that, yeah, that happened, but you know, we may have a chance to work with them in some
That's what
areas.
it said.
expertise and all of those special areas, you know, in college or whatever it may be. You know, my brother had something called Kipler-Trinani syndrome, one of the rarest things you think of that he died from. But he was also a diabetic and stuff. So look, if we can do something over here to serve people that got that, I want to help with it. And this is the opportunity to do it the way I look at it. That's the way I look at this. This is, my daughter's a doctor also. She's a internal and psychiatry. She's a double doctor. She's internal medicine and psychiatry. Did both of them. And she's been in healthcare all her life. 30 years I've been in business with all my facilities. And she's finished up her residency and she's committed in the future of making this something extra special over here. And I'm committed, y'all, no matter what Meridian and whoever else say coming along. I'm not belittling them. I love the business, the cut of business, but we the real deal. I don't want to got everybody I can get to help us do everything that needs to be done. And be honest, y'all, I ain't been arrogant nothing. I had everything I got before I walked in here, and I had when I walked out. I don't need this in, but like I need another control. But I love y'all, and I want to make this place good. And I think we can do it. I believe we can work together and make it happen. That's true. I honestly believe we can do it together, and I honestly believe that. And I ain't being no fancy way. That's just what it is.
I would say if you're from Madison,
Yes, ma'am.
is that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if he's from Madison, all his people would be coming here to have their babies.
Yeah, you go.
Because it's closer than Gainesville.
There's no other way to do labor and delivery. You
No.
get it. You get it. Thank you. I mean, and I know Maria ain't gonna live no baby. I'm gonna leave that right there.
So,
I know college ain't gonna live no baby.
We're,
So- Mike, if we are successful in the future, are you gonna introduce us to Emmett?
Yeah, I can bring him in too. Ain't no problem.
Okay,
Ain't no
I'll bring
problem.
that.
I got a lot of step friends. Ain't no problem. We get them in too. But I really think this is gonna be a superstar place over here for everything, all the services that we're talking about. I think we can do it over here, y'all. I really do work together. There's no doubt in my mind. And I'm maybe the wrong face for this, but Lord knows it's more than me. That's all I can tell you. It's more than me involved in it. I'm telling you, y'all got a real significant opportunity to tap into some serious resources from other investors and stuff that want to invest in this community. Unfortunately, it's in here today. They got too many money to be in today, I guess. I don't know. But thank y'all. I appreciate your time. And whatever y'all decide, I'm good with.
We are gonna take a 5-minute break so we can take over real quick. 5 minutes and we'll be right back. Go ahead and you call the meeting back to order.
Yeah.
They never take out.
We'll move on to item number 2, discussion of action, additional premium with Florida Municipal Insurance Trust. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your agenda packet, you will see an email that I received. This was part of a string of emails, but what we needed to discuss happened to be included in this particular one. We are looking at an increase quarter. Yeah, that's quarterly, okay? Actually 4 months, so it'd be 3 times that, a $40,000 increase. The reason for that is the company came in and reevaluated the buildings from a standpoint of value. So really, this is all based on an added value that they added during the survey. On the books, they are saying that the hospital is a $150 million building, where previously it was sub 100 million. And that pretty much holds true for all the buildings over there. Now, the hope here is that we, of course, will have an agreement with somebody. A lot of this will be able to defer to another group. These are the numbers that I'm giving people like Mike to build their cost performance. I'm adding these types of numbers in where they will not have a bad number. So I'm already sharing this information with them. But the second part of this is what we call the Bedoya building. And as you can see, the Bedoya building is basically going to become a rated building because of condition, and it's going to carry an additional premium of $4,000. Now, this is a building that at the last meeting, you authorized me to offer CARC, and I have done that. I did that almost immediately after our last meeting, and I have had a few follow-up conversations with the CARC director. But as of right now tonight, I can't really tell you whether they're going to take advantage of your offer or not. If they do, then obviously they will insure their building and we'll only insure it from our exposure. If they don't take it, I don't continue to see why we continue to hold that on our books. It's the building that had the lead paint and asbestos. We have the survey. So I guess what I'm asking the trustees is if CARC does not accept the building as you offered, would you like at this time for me to go ahead and solicit bids to have it raised?
It's not on the agenda. Can't make a decision on that.
About $4,000?
You can discuss, no, you said raising the building.
Yeah, but that's to save the $4,000.
Okay. You can discuss that, but you can't
Okay.
raise a building up.
Well, I'd like to know your thoughts, even though you can't take an action.
We can discuss it, but we can't.
Enact on it.
Okay.
I mean, I think we discussed it previously as well.
Well, we can put it on the agenda, right? For the next meeting?
Yeah, next meeting.
Okay.
I think that we should, if we don't have a sunset on our offer to CARC,
Yeah.
we don't hear anything from them by next month.
When's the payment due? The first?
So that $4,000 is going to be due 6/1,
6/1?
just as that
Okay, then we can
adjusted
do it in
premium.
May.
Yeah, let's put it on the agenda, and if they don't take it, if no one takes it. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm
Yes.
just speaking out of turn.
No, you're right.
Let's hit the gas and be done with it. Because I'm sitting there thinking about all these separate meetings and things that we've got to have later too. And I'm like, hang on. Can we get rid of the buildings that people don't, that the people are
Can-
arguing over?
Can we tell CARC we need a decision by May 1st?
Yes.
Okay,
There we go.
because they were the only ones interested in it anyway.
I'll lose sleep at night if we have to write that check.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, no. It can only get so free before it's not free anymore.
Yes.
Sure. Next item,
Yes.
Well, do we need to vote on the premium?
Well, the premium, actually, I think I can just do it administratively through your policy because it's not a per unit increase. It's just based on value.
Okay,
They're not charging us any more per unit. It's just because the value increased.
thank you, inflation.
next item, fixed asset inventory.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Chairman. There are 5 items identified in your agenda packet. These are fixed assets. They're carried on our fixed asset inventory. And in accordance with the policy of the authority, we are asking the trustees to declare these as obsolete. They're no longer used. We have had them scrubbed. Other words, whatever information may have been on them because it could have been health related. We have scrubbed them where if they do end up in some other capacity, hopefully nothing that we've been, that we did on them is now going to be available. As we had comment prior to the meeting, I'm more than willing to go through your policy as far as asking others if they would like them. We've already done some of that. We haven't had any takers to this point. I don't know that we will, but if we do, we will dispose of them in accordance with the policy. If not, they'll simply be junked and they'll be disposed of. And I would ask for trustee approval.
The board.
It's legal to say that the Google says they're worth $140.
Yeah.
Motion to make the fixed assets obsolete.
Second.
And a motion in 2 seconds. Motion and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Easy.
Utilize the parking lot located on Northeast Taylor Avenue for the upcoming farmers market events.
Yeah, and just to get everybody's bearings, this is the parking lot right over here on the side of the road, just adjacent to the tower. That small area. We're being requested to allow that to be used for the farmers market. Based on the property appraisers' property lines from their aerials, that does appear to be authority property. I initially thought it was city, and I suggested they go through the city, but the city pretty much mirrors my opinion. So having said that, given that this is sponsored by the health department, it's directly across the street, I see no harm in it happening. Now, this will, of course, be subject to them providing whatever council believes is necessary to protect the authority. So I would ask that you approve it, subject to whatever council requires in order to protect the authority be provided.
Is any of this area involved in any of our negotiations?
Not currently, no ma'am.
Okay,
So it's the blue, was highlighted in blue.
Yeah,
And the farmers market, are they moving from where they typically?
yes. Well, if you'll recall, last year, they were actually on the opposite side of the health department. And I think they had problems there with the private business or something. I'm not sure.
This is the farmers market that the WIC, the Department of Health.
Yes,
does.
yeah.
Okay, not what the city does.
No, this is the Department of Health. I'm sorry, I should have clarified.
I was about to say, I thought they already had a spot. It's not really congruent with what they're doing. That's fine.
This is the board.
I don't want to make the motion because I can't remember all the things Dale said.
Yeah,
It would be to,
motion to allow the farmer's market utilize the parking lot on Northeast Taylor Avenue,
comply with
long as they comply with whatever.
city.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the request is for Saturday, April 22nd and on Friday and every Friday thereafter. I suggest that the move-in put a date certain on it and include a termination upon reasonable request by the board. That can be added in using my words.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. We're good with that.
Well, you need the time certain, like you want to allow them for the first 6 months or 12 months or 9 months. I have no opinion on the time certain. It's just that I suggest there be a time certain.
Yeah, it'll be over in 3 months or so.
I say 6 months.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Yeah.
motion carried. 101.
Okay, and again, this was an item that we received public comment on prior to the meeting. This was a request from College of Medicine, UF Health, regarding the Healthy Family Support Worker, who we learned is actually without office, working out of a car. And of course, they're working Columbia County cases. So we were asked, would we have a place that they could have a base of operations? Now, they would be willing to furnish their own computer, their own phone. There's nothing required of us. And we are the ones that suggested, we, the staff, suggested the office at the end. The comments before the meeting would have you believe they're by themselves. There are no walk-ins. This is them and them only. And the reason we thought it might be a good idea to help this support worker is they are a good lead for our medical assistance plan. And they have agreed that they will distribute our material to their clients who they can already see and know are qualified. So we kind of saw that as being a benefit to the medical assistance program that we provide. We do not see us helping this party as costing any additional funds to the authority. We're not going to turn power on that's not already on. We're not going to provide electricity that's not already on. It's not as if people are coming and going. It's just a base of operations where they don't have to use a car.
So this person goes and visits the families in the home.
It has to.
So
It has to.
my only thought is when we at some point hinder ourselves from renting that out, in the future, if we have somebody located in a single office over there.
It definitely could. And obviously, I would think that anything you did, you would reserve the right to have them move or be removed at request.
And my thought process is if that comes up at some point down the road, we could always move them upstairs to one of the rooms up there. I mean, it's not that we have to kick them out and be done with them. We can still accommodate them, but
Well,
it's suitable to
again,
have an actual office rather than a conference room.
again, we even thought at one time maybe the building out back, but the problem with that is it would cost you additional money because that building is not occupied, so we keep just enough temperature control in there to keep the humidity at bay. Not to keep somebody in there, so.
Wishes of the board.
I make a motion that we allow it with a 6-month review, which will allow us, if we get somebody that wants to rent it, we can.
Can we do that subject to like a 30-day notice or a 60-day notice? So we can move her, just, so it's not a big deal. It's like, hey, we'll give you this
Yeah.
much heads up so we can move you upstairs, move you someplace
Yeah.
else. Is that?
I'm sorry, you don't want to incur the obligation to move them, give you 6 months to find another place on your own.
There we go. There we go.
You don't want to
Yeah.
impose upon yourself the obligation to, you heard me.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
A 6-month review with 30 days eviction if necessary. How's that?
The word eviction is so
I know.
nasty.
What other word goes with it?
Fiction with a smile.
Yeah, license to remain on the premises subject to a 30-day revocation.
Okay, that sounds good.
Perfect.
I think that's what she said.
That's
Yes.
it was. So moved.
Yes, revocation sounds much better.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I love coming here.
Motion carries.
Because they already have a lot.
So unfinished business.
No, I had planned to give an update on what has transpired related to the space and the proposals, but because of the way Mr. Peacock's presentation went, I was able to cover those items. So, if you have any questions or any come up, please ask me. I'll be glad to answer them, but we're gonna work diligently towards seeing if we can't get a proper program vetted and let you start talking to them.
Staff report is contained in the your packet. Board member comments, Ms. Chanson.
I've said enough tonight. Thank you, and I apologize again for being late.
None, Mr. Chairman.
Judge.
I also apologize for being late. Looking forward to the discussions to get this show on the road.
Just to remind you, be thinking about your calendars. Sonia will be calling, and we'll try to get a series of special meetings set up where we can get to it.
And if you already know dates that you cannot attend, if you'll text me, call me, or email me, that would be great.
I'm just gonna share my calendar with you. That's what I'm gonna do.
Mr. Chairman, and I know Rob Rules conduct my order, but one quick thing before I leave, and I just brought back in here. I got the VA from the federal government coming down tomorrow to look at that other building over there, and if they decide they want it, I'll be more than happy to let the board have that deal and lease it out, whatever y'all want to do with it, because I know they're gonna want it because they're leasing property in Tallahassee, so, I mean, not Tallahassee, but yeah, Tallahassee and Jacksonville. So if they want it, it's y'all. I just want to let y'all know that I'll give that to y'all. It doesn't matter. I mean, I know they're gonna want it. I already know that. You just do the build out on it like I planned to do and everything else, but they'll be there tomorrow. And I just want to let y'all know that they will be here at 2 o'clock, whatever. I'm bringing them down and look at it. I forgot to tell y'all that while I was up there talking. So it's y'all's if you want it, either way.
All right, Brandon,
Thank you.
one comment. It's important, board members, that you get some people appointed application to the governor's office. If not, what's gonna happen? That almost happened tonight. If Miss Laura didn't make it, the board meeting would have been canceled. So it's important that we get some more people on this board. If not, we're gonna be at a standstill and won't be able to move forward. Please get your friends that qualify, put in applications, please. Thank you.
And
Amen.
then make calls to the appointments board, because I know of 3 applications that are in there right now.
I think there's actually 4.
I was gonna say.
Well, I said, I know.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to raise a comment about the Bedoya building. I know it was said that nobody else would be interested in it. I just wanted to let you all know, we still have an interest in it. Because I'm a general contractor with my dad. We work on projects that have lead paint and asbestos. And we know the protocols to follow to remove it, non-friable. Or if it's friable, we can hire a contractor to remove it. We're also a roofing contractor. We work at Florida State University, University of Florida, University of North Florida. We're also working with the Baptist Hospital out in Pensacola. So I have a wide area of construction knowledge along with my team to be able to pretty easily work with that building. And we have people that come in. I'm with the worship room. We meet Friday nights, but throughout the week, we help people with clothing and with food. And we end up with people who want to, we work with them and they say they want to go to a rehab. Well, a lot of the times I call a rehab and they don't have beds available right away. But if we can work with people to get them into a place, you know, and keep them for 2 days, 3 days, or even a week, where we can transition them into a place where they can really get help. And a lot of these people will come down and say they want to get help, and if we don't have a place to put them in right then, they're going back down to the trap house again. And we got to stop that cycle in this community.
Any board member comments? Exhausted the agenda, so we will adjourn.
Well,
How would we keep it to?
That's probably-
Can we give